But first, let me introduce at least part of the posse. Okay, girls, time to sit down and get your wet face cloths because Juan-Juan is here in the station with us.
Just a wet face cloth? That's it?
To start off. Well,
okay.
Juan-Juan, this is your 4th week in a row.
It is.
That? You're building a new streak?
Yep. I got a long way to go to beat my previous streak.
Which was?
18.
18, right, 18. Yeah, that's going to take a while. That'll take till the summertime.
I know.
Anyway, Juan-Juan is here. Also sitting in with us is UFO mechanic Al Renaldo is here.
Good evening, gents.
In the house.
Al, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing excellent.
Good.
Thank you.
We were just talking about possums, but we're not going to get into that right now. If it's a slow show, who knows? But not right now. The commander will be joining us later on. He's on his semi-secret mission up there in the Great White North. As he says, not racist. It's just the way it is.
That's right. That's right.
And he'll be joining us later on. Also, we're going to be talking to Merrell Fankhauser, our rock and roll friend, the guy who wrote Wipeout. He's going to be calling in and updating us on they're using one of his songs for a movie that's coming out in April called Chappaquiddick.
That's right. He's going to be famous.
Yep, and it's the opening song of the movie, he told me the other day. So he's going to update us on that. He's also a UFO researcher, has written a number of books on the lost continent of Mu, which is kind of like the Pacific version of Atlantis, I guess. We're also going to be talking to our good friend Kimberly Pendarvis, from Arkansas. She's a science fiction writer. Her new book is out. And she got in touch with us the other day because she's such a big fan of the show.
Excellent.
Especially of yours, Juan-Juan. We've got her on.
Really?
Okay? Yep.
Great.
Okay.
What's she have to say?
I love Juan-Juan. What they all say. That's what they all say.
Okay.
Also, we'll be talking to Switcherino tonight. Switchblade Steve Ward, who since last week's show, talk about the man on the way up.
Yep.
He's got 4 more speaking engagements.
Wow.
Okay. This is, it's going to be, we knew him when. I know it. I can feel it. And he'll be like Dylan. He'll kick us out of the limo at some point. And also, coming up fairly soon, we're going to be talking to everyone's favorite security chief, Willy Clubb, who has been going through our mail, our email, and also...
We haven't heard from him for a while.
Yeah, well, I guess he's been too busy. But he has time now to phone in a report.
Good.
I heard a little bit of it. He says he's been reading our email. People are apparently asking us for advice. And he says of all the emails and physical letters that he has received over the past month, he can read exactly 3 on the air without
without redacting things?
Yeah, without the FCC coming down on us.
With the black Sharpie highlighter.
Right. So that should be interesting. So that's our shoe. Now, I should say that this is the first time we've done this show in a long time when you're not wearing some kind of Patriots clothing. Okay, you were funny last week because... Oh, you got the hat on.
I got the hat.
Because we had on... this will be a show that will be online tomorrow, People of the Future. And where we had the Black Eyed Kid was on. Bill Stillman, our psychic friend, was on.
Right.
Tarak, our friend from 44 Light Years Away, was on.
That's right.
Cobra was on. I was on. And someone else who I can't remember. Well, Switch and M, okay? And you poured out your heart to every single one of them about the Patriots' loss, including the Black Eyed Kid. The Black Eyed Kid's call was supposed to last 1.5 minutes. It went to 8 minutes. And at one point,
I didn't know that.
You say... I just don't know who to talk to about it. And Black Eyed Kid said, it's okay. I have a degree. I'll listen to you. That's where it went. First one of the show. So anyway, but you must be over it by now. JJ.
I'm not really.
You're not really?
No.
Yeah, still?
No, I've gone from sorrow to pissed off.
Oh, not the 5 degrees of grief?
Yeah. It might even be up to 50 shades of grief.
Really? Yeah, okay. All right. Pissed off, I guess, is number 49.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. But
I don't know.
There's nothing you can do about it. They blew it.
Well, they were talking about lately the illegal formation.
Oh, what's that?
The illegal formation caper. That was when Foles got that catch for the first down.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way he was lined up, the way other guys are lined up.
Oh, wow.
They called it the Philly Special.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That play was the Philly Special, and I was saying it wasn't a legal play.
Right. It was the Philly special. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Philly cheesesteak without the cheese.
did you have cheese without? And what's the funny thing about that is that it's not really cheese. It's that fake cheese.
The Whiz? Really? No.
Yeah. It's that
What, Velveeta? Or?
Velveeta. Yeah. That's the cheese down there. Well, talking about Philly special, did you happen to see the YouTube, all the YouTubes of how they partied when they won, how they burnt a Macy's down?
yeah.
So, did you see the
Broke
guy
into
with
places.
the horse manure? Did you happen to see
Yeah,
that?
the guy
I heard
eating
about it.
I didn't see it at
Another Philly special. People were calling me and saying, you have to watch this. I said, I'm not going to watch it. Okay. Basically, what we're talking about, the Philadelphia Eagles defeated our Patriots, and they proceeded to burn and tear down a lot of downtown Philadelphia in their celebration. And there were a lot of police officers around. One of them takes a dump on the street, and they go to this one guy for whatever reason, and the crowd is going, eat it, eat it, eat it. So now he's going to get down, he's going to eat the horse manure. Okay, well, here's the funny thing about it. He has a Philadelphia Eagles scarf on that he must have just bought, and as he's going down, and he actually does eat the horse manure, but he's so careful, he doesn't want his scarf to get in it. I watched like 3 seconds of it. And I said, I cannot watch this. Okay, as bad as Patriots or Boston fans would be, only a Philly fan would eat.
I'll have to look it up. I didn't bother. I heard about it. I didn't bother searching for it. And I went, okay.
If you Google
there's
Philly,
a guy that's full of S.
If you Google Philly fan eats poop, there's like 1,000 YouTubes come up, but it's mostly this guy. So okay, congratulations,
I
Philly.
don't know, a steaming, whatever
Yes.
they want to call it. I'm
That's what I
sorry.
was-
I don't, no, sorry.
Yeah, we got to draw the line somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, why don't we do this? Why
The
don't we?
Patriots fans are way too sophisticated to do something.
Yeah, there would no Patriots fans would eat. I mean, horse manure. Come on, really? You know,
They'll be going into the nearest Starbucks and
right?
imbibing in some serious alcohol-laden lattes. Or
Right.
something.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on.
And they wouldn't burn down half the city either.
No,
I mean,
no.
these people were rioting, basically.
Yeah, well, I think that's just a normal Saturday night down there, actually. But do they have alcohol at Starbucks?
No, they don't.
Oh,
You have to
okay.
bring
all
your
right.
own.
I've never been in a Starbucks. Can you believe it? Never been. I'm sorry. I was in one once. Yeah, it wasn't a pleasant experience because.
Some of them are really dumpy. I don't
Yeah, well,
get
they've been
it.
around for a while. I was once down in New York City, and we were meeting with someone from the biz, and they said, go to the corner of 5th Avenue and 46th Street, and I'll meet you in the Starbucks there, So I go in the Starbucks, and there I'm, sitting near the window looking around, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes late. And I'm going, wow, this is weird. So I go to the barista. Is that what they call him?
Yeah.
And I said, is there another Starbucks around here? And he goes, yeah, right across the street. Literally right across the street. And that's where the person was waiting for me anyway. Very expensive in those places, too.
Yeah, it is.
See, I don't like their coffee either.
Yeah, I don't
it
drink
tastes
that.
burnt.
Oh, really? Yes.
To me, it tastes burnt.
See, Dunkin' Donuts coffee tastes burnt to me. Isn't that strange?
I actually brew Dunkin' Donuts coffee at home better than they can brew it.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you get a burnt taste from Dunkin'
Yeah, I
Donuts?
do.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
I don't know. I think when they leave the pot on too long or something,
Oh,
if
it's just
only
constantly
half
going.
full,
Yeah, right. Okay.
They,
All right.
they need to freshen it up more. I think Starbucks has the same problem.
And we've talked about this many times, and I guess I don't think Dunkin' Donuts is ever going to be a sponsor of ours, but the quality of their donuts somewhere around 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even
Maybe longer than that.
went right down the freaking drain. I don't know what happened. I think that maybe they don't cook them on site anymore or something. I don't
There's
know.
like a central factory someplace that.
Yeah,
It's just
there's
makes
one
them
big
truck 'em in.
bakery.
Yeah.
Oh, and they just
Most of them don't bake their own, but most of them,
yeah.
they get deliveries every morning.
Ever
Yeah.
since they stopped baking their own in the individual stores,
That's when
where
it.
the guy would be covered with powdered sugar, and he'd come out and say hi to people once in a while.
Yeah,
And that's not
yeah.
something I made up. That was
Yeah.
really
Oh no,
happening
I know.
in a Dunkin' Donuts near me.
And the price of the donut, a single donut, is a couple of bucks.
$4. Yeah, I know.
I was like, seriously? I mean, what
$2.29 or
happened?
something.
Yeah, they're changing the name to it. They're taking donuts off of it. It's just going to be called Dunkin' now. But they're everywhere, man. And I know people who are literally like addicted to Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
Domino's did the same thing. They're not Domino's Pizza anymore. Now they're just Domino's.
Oh, because
they're Domino's and more.
Oh, right. Okay.
Just
Yeah.
like so now it's Dunkin's and more.
Yeah. Well, look at Juan-Juan is actually.
There you go.
He is a Dunkin'
A
Donuts.
medium.
Brewed for this USA hockey? Really? Okay. What does that mean? Anyway.
They're supporting the USA Olympic hockey team.
Oh, I see. Okay. Are they playing in South Korea? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
actually.
really. Yeah.
I don't know what the schedule is.
We went into a bar the other night, the Coma, as you know, just to get a drink, Lois and I, and have something to eat at the bar. And they had the Olympics on, and it was curling. It was like an hour and a half of curling, and I'd never watched more than 3 seconds of curling, but we were forced to watch it, and we watched for an hour and a half. Still don't know what the hell was going on. I know why they sweep and all that stuff. Wow, what a stupid sport that is. Holy cow. Yikes. In the Olympics, I said to Lois, I'd rather watch figure skating than this. I know Juan-Juan likes the figure skating.
I do.
Yeah.
I enjoyed I was captivated by the figure skating.
Really? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Did you see where the Canadian skier woman, I believe she's Canadian, she went and took a dog and had it shipped back to Canada because she was afraid it was going to be on the menu.
Oh, yeah.
She was
absolutely.
like, she goes, he's not getting eaten.
That's a joke. Come on.
No, they eat dogs there. Come on.
They eat dogs there. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
Juan-Juan?
I've heard that, yes.
Yeah. And ever hear what they do with cabbage? Not that we're not putting down the Koreans or anything. They boil cabbage and they put it in a pot and they bury it for like a month. And then you pick it and it is putrid, and they eat it.
Wow.
A little with a side of Fido.
Wow.
All right. Well, there goes the appetite.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, on that note,
There goes our listeners in
Dog poop
Korea.
and cabbage.
yeah, what are we talking about? We're talking about eating dogs, eating... Anyway, Cobra should be here to straighten us out. Why don't we take a commercial break right now for Alpo, our sponsor coming up. And, we'll be right back after this. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. So welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. Very interesting show for you tonight, as always, but let me introduce the posse. In the studio with us tonight, 4 weeks in a row. Girls, here we go. Very famous Juan-Juan is here.
Ta-da, it's me.
All right, you get your own
Hello,
music
girls.
now. Excellent.
And everybody else listening.
Dropping in on us in the studio, very famous UFO mechanic Renaldo is here
Good evening, all.
in the house. Online, making all kinds of noise in the background, Commander Cobra. Up at his bunker.
Why do you think it's me that's making noise?
Well, I took a guess. Up in the bunker in the Great White North, as we mentioned before, it's not racist. It's just the way it is. Isn't that what you said?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, he's here. So, what
I'd like to talk more, but I don't want to get in trouble this week. So I'll just
why?
say thank you very much.
Have you
Why?
been getting in trouble a lot lately?
He has, yeah?
Yeah.
I must have missed some of that. What, on his own show, you mean?
No,
Is he making
with
headlines?
you, I'm always stepping over my cue.
Oh,
I'm making
well.
noise in the background. My hands are folded like I'm in parochial school up here right now. I mean, I don't know what to do
Wow.
to make you happy, man.
Kind of venting. It's okay. It's healthy to vent there, Kobe.
10s and 20s work.
Coco, right. So, well, listen, we have one of our favorite guests on the show. Not a guest, he's actually an employee. So why don't we do this? Jeff, please cue the music. Juan-Juan, you know what that music means, right?
Yes, I do, baby.
Another visit from our good buddy. Willy Clubb, the security chief of Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show. How you doing there tonight, Club?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys doing?
Okay. We're doing all right. Everyone doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay. He likes to be referred to as Club. He just like Switch. He's obviously at an age and
I
never
like
lawyers.
Club. It's got a nice ring to
Club, yep, with two B's, which is kind of nice. Gives it that European. So, Club, why don't we just get right to it? You go through our mail. We haven't talked to you in about a month or so. The Falcone Entertainment Empire hired you as an insurance dodge, by the way. Not really concerned about our safety. They just didn't want us suing them if, we get a buck of cyanide here or
Right,
something,
yeah.
right? So,
Pretty smart ploy.
yeah. So Club goes through our stuff people send to us, and it's his monthly report. So what do you have for us this month?
Well, there's been a lot going on. I have to look at a pretty high volume of email that you folks get, regularly. And, the biggest problem we have is, making sure that things are secure and that, there's not a lot of, anything that could be of harmful nature to anyone.
Yes.
But anyways, I've got a few that I can give you some updates on. if
Okay,
you'd
go
like.
ahead.
Yeah, and I will, even these that I've been able to go, I have to really paraphrase because a lot of them get into some detail that
we understand.
we can't share over the air because of the FCC restrictions and all.
All right.
But I got one here for Juan-Juan.
Figures.
An email? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, these are all emails.
Okay.
And for Juan-Juan, they are asking you, do you have a home remedy for Azure testicles?
What?
Azure testicle. Oh,
Yeah, I know it's color
Yeah.
blue and all that, but
Blue balls, one.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you have a home remedy?
Yeah, but
What?
I'm not allowed to give that out over the air.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, we'll bleep it out. Go ahead. Let people know. Educate people.
Would you like a classy
Well,
answer?
why don't we?
Yeah.
Do we have to explain exactly what Azure testicles are?
I just wasn't thinking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Al, do you want to take this? or-
Cold showers always work for me.
I think it rubs
How about
the
just
lotion.
tantric sex?
No,
Can't we
I
just
know,
leave
but
it?
I think that we should explain to people what they are first before we talk about Juan-Juan's home relief.
Well,
It's when
unrequited or unsatisfied
sexual
Release.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Wow.
It's the build up. It's the build up and the fall off without
Right.
the
Without the act.
right without the climax.
Okay. So that's the kids called blue balls. So
Is that the clinical definition? Because you guys are.
yeah, of course. We just looked that up in a medical journal. Can you do any better on that, Coco? Can you explain it any better?
It's the result of someone who has a lack of knowledge of tantric sex. How's that?
Oh. Okay. What's that tantric sex? That's what all those freaks do for
Yeah,
like
once you need to look that one up.
10 hours. No, I know what it is.
Isn't like Sting the master of
Yeah.
tantric?
So he
sex or
says,
something?
yeah. Ever see his wife?
No. Smoke show?
Yeah. And anyway, I don't want to get into it because I think he's a great artist. Okay.
Okay, all right.
But, some of these people, I don't know. I shouldn't say it. Yeah, I shouldn't say it. If you're a rock star, what I mean, get a pair of glasses, if you know what I mean. I'm sure she's a very nice woman.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway, so tantric sex is when you have sex and you hold off on your orgasm, for hours. Is that right there, Kobe?
I believe that is what the kids call it.
Okay. It's just something you read about, right?
Well, I don't like to brag, but I'm not the only sailor on the show that's had time on their hands.
Yeah. So who's who? Yeah, they look alike to me, except for the fake boobs.
I don't think she's that bad looking.
No, what? I shouldn't say that, but anyway. I mean, 10 hours. Take a look. 10 hours.
See, after I saw him in Dune, I just couldn't look at him the same.
Yeah,
There's
it's
something
a
weird.
terrible movie.
Yeah.
Great musician, though. Absolutely great musician. Anyway, so, we're not a TV show. So, what is your home remedy? What's your, looking at Sting's wife, will that take care of the situation or what?
Oh, some video, some
Okay.
fantasy.
Okay.
Actually, I can live without the video, just the fantasy.
Okay.
You know,
And
sometimes Tom Brady's involved.
man,
Yeah.
turn the
Hey,
page.
After watching him on that Tom versus Time series on
Yep.
Facebook, it was just
No, as there are
he
testicles
had me
for you?
crying.
Yeah, okay.
Very, very fluid. It's
Yeah,
all
very
very
good.
fluid.
All right. Okay.
Fluid coming out of every orifice.
Horrifying.
Wow. Club, I think it's time to move on. So
You asked for it.
Your
I can't
remedy
imagine
is,
how we get these emails.
Yeah.
What's wrong with the audience that we're attracting
Yeah,
that we
right.
get
I
these
don't
kind of emails?
there's a real way
It all goes back to Tom Brady.
and we can work UFOs into this sometime during the night. Okay, so you're saying a fantasy and basically one-man job, punching the sailor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So his Juan-Juan's home remedy is punching the sailor. You can tell that reader, all right?
Right.
Okay. Or the five hand sisters there's about 4,000. Anyway,
Keep going.
I only know two. Club, probably keep going is probably the best way to go. So
Next email.
Next email.
Yeah, I've got one for Cobra.
Oh, good. This will be good.
And this one starts off, again paraphrasing, but Coco, you seem to be everybody's friend. Tell us 3 things about Juan-Juan and Mack that no one knows.
Oh,
3 things. Juan-Juan, he's extremely spiritual.
That's right.
He definitely has a very interesting spiritual side.
This is Juan-Juan we're talking about?
Yes,
Okay.
Juan-Juan.
All right, go ahead.
He is quite intelligent sometimes that doesn't come through when you hear him on the air. But he's very intelligent.
That's what they say about stupid people, Sometimes it just doesn't come through. Go ahead.
Or it's quiet intelligence.
I can't wait.
And I'd say that he's a very loyal person. Very loyal to his friends, his family.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay.
Extremely.
I agree with the third one.
I had a Great Dane like that once.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
What a matchup!
And what a team, Mike. Metro PCS and the iPhone SE for $0 on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Oh, impressive.
Play with the best. Switch to Metro PCS on an unlimited LTE plan and get a 32-gig iPhone SE for $0. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax. Claim based on talk and text. Not valid for active numbers currently on the T-Mobile network or active on Metro PCS in the past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Ando, doing material. Okay, and so what about me? I can't wait to hear this.
So I think that you are by far one of the most intricate guys. You have a lot of sides. You are you jump back and forth between so many different things that you're good at and you have fun with. So you're very intricate.
He's like an onion. He's got all those layers.
All those layers. Yeah.
No. Because
I make it cry.
It's the same thing. I mean, with Mack, I mean, he's got the music thing. He's got the film background. He's into science. He's into science fiction. I mean, it's just all kinds of stuff. And he's
Scientology.
No, don't say that.
No, not Scientology. No, he's definitely not Scientology.
Okay. I got two more.
He is multifaceted.
Two more. Another part about Mack that people don't know.
You rattled it off Juan-Juan, and now you got to think about mine. Why?
Well, because I think you're pretty open. So, I mean, this is supposed to be stuff that people would not have picked up.
Okay, go ahead.
So, you're intricate. I would definitely say that folks probably don't realize how loving you are. I mean, I've seen you with your wife.
Well,
how you take care of all of us. I mean, you're pretty good about keeping tabs. I mean, I can't count how many times you have like an email when you haven't heard from me for a couple of days. Everything okay? How's it going? What's coming up with the show?
Well, because you owe me money, I have to keep tabs.
That's true. That's true.
Number 3, please. This is getting embarrassing.
Well, of course, we could say you have a self-depreciating humor, but that's not true. So that wouldn't really work. Let's throw that one.
That's 2A. That it? You want to give up after 2?
No. I think the last one is. I would put it in the same kind of thing of a loyalty, but I'm trying to think of the right word. I'm not a wordsmith like yourself.
Okay. You
are somebody that I can count on. That if I really was in a jam, I know I could pick up the phone and say I need your help, and you'd figure out a way to do something to give me a hand or give me some advice. So I don't know what the right way to describe that is.
That's after the message for Juan-Juan went
like a Boy Scout.
Went to this machine. Like a Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I got kicked out of the Boy Scouts.
You did?
For eating a brownie.
I wanted to say something, but I just knew it that
Okay, that answered that email club, I hope. So what's next?
All right, now, Mac, there's one for you I thought you'd be interested in.
Oh, boy.
And the writer indicates that they have a face for radio, just like you.
Oh.
We want to know, how can I get the hot girl in my office to like me?
Well, start with 2 sticks of butter, right?
Oh.
No. And an egg. And an egg.
Make an omelet.
Yeah. Little inside humor there, folks. Well, we've talked about this many times, Juan-Juan and I have. The best way for a not good-looking guy to get a good-looking girl is to have a good sense of humor.
That's right.
Right? Make them laugh.
True.
Make them laugh.
Or a lot of money.
Or a lot of money.
I'm
right.
on board with that 100%.
Yeah. I mean, if you're poor, the sense of humor is the best way to go.
Right.
Get a lot of money, then you don't need a sense of humor. Okay.
Or get them when they're
Well,
and they don't know any better.
We may have to cut that out. Okay. We don't know. We'll see. That's the way. That would be my advice. Even though I said to my wife the other day, my job is to make you laugh. That's and she said, why? Which means come up with some new material.
Yeah,
okay.
Why don't you make dinner instead?
Yeah, no one wants to eat any dinner I made. Anyway, so Club, do you have? There must be one more.
Yeah, that's about all there is that I can share. This one more. It was interesting because it had a subject of Mile High Club, and it's to Cobra.
Figures.
And the writer is indicating that they're going on vacation to Europe with her boyfriend. And during the flight, they wanted to earn a membership in the Mile High Club.
Oh, yeah. Yep, okay.
I think everyone understands the Mile High Club.
It's having sex over 5,280 feet, right? Isn't that about it? Okay.
Something like that.
Yep.
And so it directed at Kobu, I guess, because your experience obviously at high altitudes. But it said, will altitude
As a pilot,
or pressure...
I would assume is what you were driving at.
Yeah, they want to know if the altitude or the pressure will have any effect on her boyfriend's ability to reach full potential.
Whoa, going back to the age
and
of the
if so,
testicles.
how should he prepare?
Okay.
We would have the first question and then have this question. It's
Right.
interesting.
The
There's
circle
kind
is
of
complete.
there's a lineage there,
Right.
a certain line up there. So as
So
you
don't
go
shoot the
higher in
messenger.
altitude,
All right, please
as you
educate
go
us.
higher, there
Yes.
is less ambient air pressure, as the writer has indicated, which can cause some euphoric effects, which would probably heighten the sexual experience to some degree. Some people do experiment with that as a way to increase their pleasure.
Okay.
So you have that. The important thing,
an
you need to be able to
in-flight
document Mile High Club. There's some very interesting ways to do that. You want to make sure your Colesman window is properly set, because there's nothing sadder than when you think you're at a mile and you're actually not. You know, you're 3/4 of a mile or such.
Okay.
So Colesman window needs to be set to the proper
What's
setting.
He explain that to us. What? The what?
On
window?
an altimeter, there's a little tiny window. It's called the Colesman window, and you have to make an adjustment because each day the air pressure changes,
Okay.
and that air pressure is how you determine your altitude.
Okay. All right.
So you set that usually when you take off or while you're flying. If you go a long distance, you talk to whatever the local approach control is, or you can hear radio broadcasts. So when you come near an airport, like if I was to leave where I'm here in Maine and I'm flying over Plum Island,
Yes.
Mystery Airport, I could get the altimeter setting that's the number that you put into the Colesman window, and I
Okay.
would know. And sometimes you have to adjust your altitude after that if you're staying at an assigned altitude.
So it would be, honey, take your panties off. I'm going to look at the Colson window and see what's going on. Is that the?
Well, it's a very tiny
Foreplay?
window, and
Okay.
it has to be manipulated with usually just your finger and
Watch
your
it,
thumb.
watch
you have
it,
to,
watch
and
it,
you
watch
want
it.
to
See?
rotate it very carefully,
Totally
very
inappropriate.
carefully.
Inappropriate.
Sensitive. It's very sensitive.
Or some
I
KY.
can't believe it's not butter.
Yeah, we're going to cut that out. Okay, go ahead, please.
No, I'm done.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, thank
He's
you very
done.
much. Club, aren't you glad
He's
you're
done.
in?
No, it
He's
took a
done.
minute.
Okay. So no, I have a question because I don't really fly that much. So when people do this, on airliners, what do they do? Do they do it in the seat? Do they go into the lavatory, or how do they do this?
I got a good friend that's a flight attendant, and she has told me that this activity has happened just about every place you can imagine.
On
in
the
the
body?
seats.
Oh, I see. Around the world. Okay.
In the bathroom, in that back area, if they're not in it. If the flight is not very filled, people can get pretty amorous, pretty crazy.
But it's at night, right?
Yeah, I guess for the most part, that's when it goes on the most part. And then she says that some of the stories are legendary of what would go on with airline crews when they had different areas where different people on the crew would hook up. So
just what you want to be happening, you know.
It gives the phrase layover.
Once again now.
Or touch and go.
Touch and go. Running out of batteries.
Now, if you were flying to Europe and you waited till you were halfway there, you're going to be up at 35,000 feet or so.
Easy, yeah.
So you should have no issue with height, right? At that point.
If you're in that position, height probably, height.
Well,
is that a little joke?
No, I'm saying as far as mile high.
Oh right, yeah, you're gonna be 5 miles.
Oh no, you're well clear.
So what we're saying, but it really the cabin pressure can really affect the performances. Are you? Really?
Because you're getting less oxygen to the brain, so you will experience a more euphoric effect. That's usually one of the things that happens with hypoxia is that some people take on this very euphoric. It's the same thing like when you have a drink. I know you guys wouldn't understand this because you don't drink, but if you did, the alcohol would slow the amount of oxygen availability into your bloodstream. Same thing that happens at lower pressure.
That's why it works. Wow. Okay. All right. Good to know their code.
Wow. Meet Mr. Wizard over here.
Mr. Wizard is a good name for him. Yes.
That would be Commander Wizard to you.
Commander Wizard. Okay. Well, Club, there you go. We've been educated and also
stimulated.
And
manipulated.
Right there with the right one. So thanks for joining. Any articles been mailed to us? I know the last time we talked to Cobra had got a a sex toy?
Yeah, we get a few of those, but thank goodness, that's cut down quite a bit.
Down a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. It's
so I've tried a couple of them just to make sure that they're safe. And
your dedication is a tearjerker. Wow.
Tried some of them.
So anyways, it's been very busy, particularly high volume of emails. But
okay.
Other than that,
all right. And you okay? You get enough? Your supply of rubber gloves is still holding out.
Yeah, we're doing pretty well there.
Okay.
We may have to get a new supply.
Okay. All right. Just let us know when you need the money, and we'll ask Pistol Pete for it. Okay.
Hopefully, you don't get the flu or something.
The flu. Yeah. Don't get the flu. Right. Yeah. Don't get any worms in your eye or anything.
Are you going to put in your expense account for the batteries for said? Experimentation with
you're gonna put in for the batteries there.
Are you able to take that off
in my next remittance?
Okay, Cobra stepping over your line. Go ahead, please, Clubby.
No, I just wanted to say that when I submit, because I'm still waiting to get that extra combat pay, so I've been playing it safe around here.
He did send me a report after he had a report that Cobra had received a 13-inch sex toy. That's when he asked for the raise. It's in the works. Wait till the text.
Well, I could really use it.
Pistol Pete will.
Because nobody will be doing this gig like.
No, apparently not. No. So thank you, and we'll probably go out on the music. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Club, for joining us, and we'll talk to you real soon. We can give you a round of applause if you want.
Hey.
All right. Have a good night.
Don't be a stranger.
Goodbye, Club.
Thanks, Club. Bye.
Okay, well, once again...
Oh, you know what I meant to ask him? What kind of a sex toy would Cobra be getting?
Well, that's what he got, a 13-inch dildo, as the kids call it.
That might be maybe like a feather duster or something like that.
Wow. Yeah. Coco, did you hear that?
Oh, I'm listening.
The guy you just called, spiritual and loyal. Anyway, it's okay.
I am totally spiritual and loyal. Definitely. I got that right.
I just get a feeling that this show will never air. You know what I mean? You got that vibe going on there. I don't know.
Well, it's going to be Swiss cheese because you're going to cut.
We're going to get mail like you won't believe.
There you go. Make it funny. Who knows? Yeah. So why don't we have I'll have Jeff play us out on Club's theme song, and we'll be right back after these ads. You're listening to Mack Maloney's Military Style Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Military Style Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. Boy, what a show we are having tonight. Let me introduce the posse. What did we decide we were going to call it? The posse?
The posse.
The posse. The very famous Juan-Juan is here, girls.
Hello, everybody.
Wow, you get that kind of low going under the radar voice.
Hello, can you go?
All right. Well, that's a question that we'll have to answer in another show. Commander Cobra is here. We haven't saluted him yet, so we're going to have to do that. Coco, you there?
I am, sir.
Okay. And UFO mechanic Renaldo is here. So why don't we salute him, get it over with, okay?
Okay.
Fulfill the contract.
Right, ready?
Salute return, gentlemen.
Wow. Juan-Juan always showing off with the... Yeah. Okay.
Very sharp.
I go for that kind of British one. Yeah, right. So anyway.
By your leave.
So listen, we have an interesting guest on the phone with us, okay? Kimberly Pendarvis is a sci-fi writer from down south, Montgomery, Alabama, I believe. And I just saw something online about her book and about her, and I thought she'd be a really good guest to have on. So, Kimberly, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, you're in Montgomery, Alabama?
That's correct.
Wow.
In Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay, and what's the weather like down there these days, middle of February?
It's kind of switching off and on, warm here and some days cold. So it's just kind of undecided, doesn't know what it wants to do.
And when
Kimberly, you have to explain to us the terrible temperature variance that you're going through with your warm and your cold.
What is cold for you?
Cold is about 40 degrees.
Oh, man. That's warm here.
Sometimes 60, yeah.
Okay, that's warm here. When I look at the weather, the 7-day forecast, when I see 40, I think, hey, it's going to be warm,
No jacket for me.
Right.
It's above freezing.
If it goes to 50, people are swimming. Anyway, we live up in Boston, in case you couldn't tell.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
She can't tell. We don't have an accent. See, we're one of the few that don't have accents.
Yeah, speak for yourself there. Mr. Charlestown. Anyway, right. So tell us the title of the book.
It's 74 Tears on File.
Okay. And it's a sci-fi book, which I love. I grew up reading Isaac Asimov, Robert Heinlein, Ray Bradbury. How long did it take you to write it?
This actually surprisingly took me about 4 months to actually write the book from front to finish. Wow. And to do final touches, editing, I'd say about maybe 8 months.
Really? Now, was this your first book?
This is my third novel.
Oh, third novel. Okay. So just tell us, the plot of this particular book. It has a great title.
Sure. Thank you. 74 Tears on File does center around a young scientist. Her name is Dr. Naomi Milan, and her cohort, Dr. Roger Hannibal, as they work initially on a project for the government called Project Scorch. And in that project, the doctors are creating cyborgs, the first, most realistic kind in the world that the world has ever seen until something major happens globally to the lower class population.
Okay.
And when the world splits, strong decisions must be made, and Charles Darwin's idea of natural selection goes into full fruition.
Wow. Holy cow. So what does that mean exactly?
So just Charles Darwin's idea of survival and
survival of the
fittest,
right,
and so on and so forth, without giving too much away.
Yep.
Basically, the government has an idea of how they want this world order to go. It's their new world order that hits in 2035. Once Naomi comes up with the idea, basically to perfect the cyborg, they take that, and their intent is to capitalize on it.
Right, okay. And is it kind of a dark vision of the future?
Looks pretty dark.
Yeah, is there a happy ending to it at all? Or?
Well, it is post-apocalyptic.
Okay, so that's not a lot of laughs. Okay.
Yeah, and it's biblical based.
Oh, okay.
And really, I, as the author, I take elements in societies. I would be more or less known as considered a conspiracy theorist, but to me, they're not conspiracies. They're actual things going on.
Oh boy,
that we see day to day.
Cobra, did that scratch your itch there, Kobe?
It sure did.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cobra believes in everything. He believes this is a conspiracy against him.
Yeah, this is the Matrix.
All right. Anyway, so go ahead, please. I'm sorry. We all love conspiracies, believe me.
Yeah. So, well,
especially those Bible-based ones, which I think you've tapped into pretty well.
The Bible,
yes. So, just the idea of the dead will rise, for example. That's an actual Bible verse, or biblically speaking, verse that's in the Bible that actually is mentioned in the book, and that is a correlation more or less with the cyborgs.
Right.
And just in day-to-day modern times, we see entertainers on the stage, they're doing the cyborg thing. So it's almost like it's esotericism, and they're showing you where they're taking us.
Right.
So, I'm interested in writing something future based. So this is where I think we're headed.
Right. So, is this what you do? You're an author for a living, or is this a kind of a sidelight?
This is a sideline. No, I have a full-time job.
Okay. What is it? What is it?
I'm in banking, so I work for Bank of America.
I was thinking artificial intelligence.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. You work for Bank of America?
No wonder you're into conspiracies.
Wow, yeah. Holy, very cool, bro.
Yeah, the whole cashless society thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. What are they? Would you say they're a good company to work for? Or?
They are a good company. I would never bank with them.
Oh, really? Wow, wow. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, we can talk off here about I have a couple run-ins with Bank of America, and they were, they were a big bank, is what they were, So, now where can you buy the book?
The book is available now. It's available online, Amazon.com, $7.99.
Super.
For anyone who would like to make a purchase.
Right. And what were your first two books? Were they also science fiction?
No, my first two novels, Secrets of Their Shadowed Hearts and Secrets of Their Shadowed Souls, they are historical fiction novels set in 1820 Georgia.
Oh, nice. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was reading the write-up while you were talking. They look on their own very interesting as well. You have a very interesting perspective between those two books on the subject. I was very impressed a little bit I was able to read about it.
Wow. Cool.
Thank you.
Coming through. So did you have to do a lot of research for those first two books? It sounds it.
Oh, absolutely. Because that took place in slavery times. And there is a lot of information about that. However, this was a different perspective, just to highlight those books. The premise of the books is not.
What a matchup!
And what a team, Mike. Metro PCS and the iPhone SE for $0 on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Oh, impressive.
Play with the best. Switch to Metro PCS on an unlimited LTE plan and get a 32-gig iPhone SE for $0. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax. Claim based on talk and text. Not valid for active numbers currently on the T-Mobile network or active on Metro PCS in the past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Not from the angle of a slave. It's actually from the angle of the plantation owners.
Oh, wow.
That they actually had to do, and their upbringing, administration-wise, is from their point of view, which is something proprietary that you don't typically see.
Yeah, right. Boy, that's an interesting take on it. You're right. So have you always wanted to be a writer when you were a little kid?
Actually, no, I never saw myself being this. I actually started off when I was a child drawing. That was actually what I started with. I always have this story in the back of my mind. When I was in the first grade, 5 years old, drew a picture of a dog, my dog, and got a 100 on that. And just, being in the center of the classroom, getting all the recognition, it just took me there.
Wow.
And I just drawing since.
Wow. So you became a writer for fame and fortune, in other words.
Well, it wasn't until my mother actually got sick with Alzheimer's, and she had a lot of complications, that I said, well, I'm going to take some of my artwork and put words behind them. And, I attempted to write I did write my first novel when she was sick. And unfortunately, she passed away prior to me actually finishing the novel. So
wow.
That's what inspired me, more or less.
Yeah, right. Wow, this all sounds really interesting. And are you going to write a fourth one?
I'm actually in the process of writing my fourth book, yes.
Wow.
Where's that going? What direction? What genre?
It's, you know what? It's going to be made up of different short stories.
Oh.
So, it's going to have a lot of different elements.
Right.
Romance, drama, suspense, all the way across the board.
Wow. And how did you come up with the title, 74 Tears on File? That's a great title.
It actually didn't begin with that. I had to revamp that title.
Are those the tears that you shed during the editing process?
There you go. Right.
Okay. It's, I can say that the title is totally different than what you think it is. So,
okay. All right. Even better. I have to admit that I've written a few books in my time, and anytime we have an author on, I ask them this question: isn't it really a pain in the neck to write a book? All the typing.
Actually, it's fun for me,
wow.
but the typing. So pretty much how I do it is I write it on paper. So I guess I can say, it is a pain now that I think about it, because I typically write it on paper, then converting it to actual print is pain.
Isn't it like the longest term paper ever? Like, that's what I dream about, is like, I have to turn in like a 500-page term paper. And that's it's like a nightmare, and it's due like tomorrow or something.
Yeah, I can compare it to that.
I just see it as a lot of typing. But anyway, these really sound very interesting. The ideas and the plot and the book and the stuff behind it and the title. The titles of all of them, the three, are really compelling, It sounds like really interesting, and I hope that, that it's successful for you. And I hope that we can call you back in a month or so, or a couple of months, and just see how it's going. And maybe this will be another case of we knew her when. We seem to be the launching pad for people on this show.
Right.
So good luck with them. I know what it's like to go through, and I know that feeling that once it's done, it's out there, you just can breathe again, you know?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that.
Well, Kimberly Pendarvis, and the name of the book is 74 Tears on File. Okay, go on Amazon and buy it. Sounds really interesting. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Kimberly.
All the best of the
Why don't we
luck
give
and
her
success.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
a round of applause? Okay, there
Thanks,
she
Kimberly.
goes, Kimberly.
Wow.
You know, it's funny. We do have writers on the show, but I really like those ideas. You know, they sound almost like movies or TV movies.
I see Tom Hanks
or something. Yeah.
in this.
Wow. Going from the slavery question from the plantation's point of view, I've never heard of that before. You know, that's a very good.
Yeah, I was reading the write-ups. She
twist it.
definitely has a pretty interesting flair and obvious talent. So.
Wow. Well, and she likes to type, which, is a big asset, believe me, when you sit down and write one of these things. Anyway, very interesting. Kimberly Pendarvis, 74. You have to speak into that thing called the microphone there, JJ.
Says she gets very giddy
Giddy?
doing this business, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you saying giddy? G-I-D-D-Y?
Yeah, giddy. Yep.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. If I guess one man's giddy is...
About the selling side of the
okay.
business.
So, have you ever tried any of that voice recognition software to just narrate?
It can't understand my accent.
Some of them are learning, though. Some of them have a learning capability.
Okay, yeah. I tried Dragon, Super Dragon, and it just wasn't worth it because it couldn't understand the way I speak.
I saw this guy from Texas who had a really heavy Texas accent, and he said after a while it actually started to learn
Really, yeah?
what he meant, and it's
Yeah. It might be a little easier to learn how they speak down
How about
in Texas.
this? As a tech, I used to help this guy who has MS. He worked
Right,
at a radio
okay.
station with me. And he had better success with his nuance, naturally speaking.
Oh, okay,
if-
yes.
If it learned my voice.
Yep. Oh, really? Yeah. Yep.
He wanted me to be the teaching part of it. And then he was able to dictate stuff afterwards.
Oh,
For some
wow,
reason, he had a difficult time learning his own voice.
Yeah, right.
It learned my voice, and then he was able to use it.
Wow.
How about that?
Wow, that's crazy. How long ago did that happen? Was that
This
recent?
was in the 80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool story.
The product was kind of young back then.
Right,
I mean, it was
yeah.
a mature product, but it was
Right.
still...
Yeah, it was still
Yeah.
okay, but that's what I had. The first one was nuanced, and it took a little while and after a while I just said, hey, just type it.
I had to find the perfect microphone for the guy, too.
And the microphone, I
was-
think you
that
had
was
to
very
have a good
important.
microphone. But you'd wear a headset, which is weird. And anyway. Hey, why don't we take a commercial break?
And I had to voice the microphone.
Okay. And you know what? We'll be right back after this. You listen to Mack Maloney's Mill Track Style Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. Welcome back, everyone, to Mack Maloney's Mill Track Style Show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney with Mr. Very Interesting Shoe tonight, but let me introduce the growing posse. Juan-Juan is here.
How come I don't have a horse?
Girls. The what?
When I hear posse, I should have a horse. Or
Okay, all right. Well, you think horses.
a torch.
Other people think other things.
A horse is behind.
JJ, you're here.
Yep.
Everything okay
Happy
with
to
you?
be here. Everything's cool.
Okay, all right. You're finally coming out of the darkness, out of the grayness of the Pabst loss.
Oh, boy.
Is there a light at the end of the
Am I
tunnel?
coming out of it? And I haven't really...
Might be a train coming right at you.
I haven't come out of it. No.
Okay, really? Yeah.
I'm
He does
so-
still look a little. You still look a little somber.
I'm
Yeah.
funky.
Funky is the word. Yeah. Okay.
I'm saying.
All right. You mean you're not showering either?
We coulda-
You're
we coulda
down
had
to
it.
that?
We could have had it.
Are you bathing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. He says that reluctantly. So okay. Thank you from all of us. Thank you.
And here I didn't wash my Patriots sweatshirt
That we
Yeah.
noticed. Yeah.
for a long time.
We almost had an
Wore
intervention
my
for that one.
TB12 hat while I'm watching the game.
Yeah, the hat. Yep. Okay. All right. Don't worry.
I
Brave
did
little,
all of that.
brave little soldier. They start again August 18th.
I can't wait.
Also on the line with us, Commander Cobra up there in the Great White North. How you doing there, Coco, tonight?
Good evening, gentlemen. Very well, thank you.
Okay. I know this is going to sound mysterious to some of our listeners, but how are the goats?
The goats are good.
Okay, good. All right. Sounds like code. I like that. All right. Also in the studio with
The
us
only
tonight.
goat I know is Tom Brady.
See, I knew we went. Yeah, that was 10 seconds. I had 12 over in the El Renaldo, famous UFO mechanic, in the studio with us tonight, too.
Good evening. And are we a posse? Or are we a posse? Is it
Posse, I like posse better.
posse? Is more like with a French accent.
Right, there'd be two.
Yeah.
There'd be an accent there somewhere,
It
right?
sounds like
Posse?
that other word that we don't want to say.
Right.
So.
Well, it's close. So
It reminds me of a very funny joke.
it's close enough to being funny. Go ahead. Are you going to tell a joke there, Kobe, or what?
Yeah, this cowboy gets caught by the Indians, and the chief tells him that we're going to put you to death because you shouldn't have been on our land. But you're an honorable man, and I'm going to give you 3 days and 3 wishes. So the cowboy says, I need to talk to my horse. So he goes over to his horse. He says something. The horse takes off. Later on that night, the horse comes back, and it's got a beautiful blonde on board, and she gets into the teepee with the cowboy, and the chief is pretty impressed. Next day, same thing, same request. He sends the horse out again. Horse comes back with an unbelievable brunette. Same thing happens. The chief says, we're amazed at your powers. It's obviously you're an incredible guy, but we're still going to hold you to it. Your last wish. He goes, I need to talk to my horse alone. He gets the horse in there. He goes, how many times do I have to tell you? Posse.
Liked it. Oh, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
I could not do it. Okay, this show's never going anywhere. Believe me, this show will never air. Anyway, we're going to try to class things up.
That was good, Cobra.
That was good, Cobra.
I think my first grade teacher told me that joke. That's all.
And she was a nun, wasn't she?
She was a nun.
It was Father Porter, right?
Just another one of the facets of the jewel known as Mack, right there.
Yeah.
Boy, good thing Mother Superior isn't around. She'd wrap your knuckles.
Rich, and then what? There's a joke there somewhere, one, but I just can't say it because I don't want to be editing
I went to
show.
Catholic school, Sunday school.
Fourth grade teacher, okay. Sister Mary Edwards. You're talking about your friend who was the giant? Okay, she was easily 6'5", 260. We called her Sister Mary Dick, okay? And she's one of those, you'd be chewing gum, okay? What kid doesn't chew gum? Fourth grade. She wouldn't just take it out of your mouth. She'd circle the room. You know what I mean? You'd come down your aisle and then and extract it from her. Sister Mary Dick. Where is she now? Anyway.
They were quite talented, those nuns, but I didn't run into
In what way?
mean nuns in my school. But
some of the nuns.
Thank God I never experienced that.
Someone took a shot at our 7th grade nun, believe it or not. Took a shot through the window at her.
Because I used to think all nuns were like, Ingrid Bergman and Bells of St. Mary.
No, I never did. No.
Where are those nuns?
They don't exist. See.
My dad went to Catholic schools, and he was left-handed.
So
they
beat it out of you.
Oh, they beat the hell out of him. Yeah. And when I was a kid and I was showing that I was going to be a lefty, the first thing he said is, there's no way anyone's going to bother him. So no way near Catholic schools.
Yeah.
Yep.
It
wasn't going to happen.
Listen, in the 2nd grade, that's when you learn cursive, okay, which they don't teach anymore, as it turns out. And if you did it wrong, 2nd grade Sister Anna Leo, would rap you on the knuckles with a ruler because you're not doing it right. So I said to her, how can I do it right if you keep hitting my hand, right? Oh, well, still do it. And they would make you do it. They'd make you do it under pain of hitting you to do cursive. Anyway.
Was it the Palmer method or the Reinhardt
Palmer,
method?
see, what's we were just talking about the Palmer method in the earlier segment there, Juan-Juan. Good timing. Anyway, listen, let's get to our guest because he's a very famous guy, and he doesn't want to listen to us. Our good friend, rock star / UFO researcher / author, and now has a song in an upcoming movie, our good friend Merrell Fankhauser. How you doing? We should just give him a... Merrell, you there? Or
He's everywhere.
Did he hang up on us?
I'm here, and I was astounded by this risque show that you have me on tonight, Matt.
It's risky,
it's entertaining.
All right.
You know, it's weird. We literally brought a box of wine. We have a box of wine here in the studio, right? So, and it's almost gone. So, you know.
Don't let those nuns find out.
Yeah, I know. Imagine. Yeah.
Or you won't get none.
Oh.
Bingo.
23 seconds he's in doing material. All right, that's good. So, Merrell, I'll just give the people a thumbnail. You are a musician. You're one of the people who really started the California sound, the California surf sound, Dick Dale and a few other people. And also you wrote the classic hit Wipeout, which we were just playing here on the desk. And
that's a song that's going to be in the time capsule.
Forever, yeah. Everyone knows it. And you've also done a number of album CDs. You know a lot of people out there. You're a friend of the Beach Boys and Willie Nelson and so on and so forth. And you won a song from an album you did back in the 60s is going to be featured in a movie. So They get it all?
That's
Perfect.
out of 55 albums, you put it in a good nutshell.
55 albums. Now, do you remember them all? Do you know what I mean?
No, and that's what happens when people are interviewing me. I've been doing an interview almost every day lately for a month. They'll ask me, okay, now this song, what album was that on? And if I don't have the cordless phone and I can't run back in the studio and check it out, sometimes I can't remember exactly what song came off of what album. It's a lot of songs and a lot of different albums.
So was that about 500 songs, 50 albums, 10 songs each?
It's 400 and something. It's over 450 now. I know.
Now, at one time, you had a job where you were almost like a Brill building out in California, right? Where you would write a song in the morning, write a song in the afternoon for hire, kind of?
Yes, that was in Southern California, and Harry Nilsson and I wrote in adjoining offices.
Wow.
And every day we would do anything we could because we had to write so many songs a week to get our salary.
Okay.
And then hopefully those songs would get placed to somebody, and then you'd get royalties off of them. And we would do everything. We'd go to the local coffee shop and talk to the waitress to tell us stories, and we'd get ideas to write songs.
Yes. Okay. But the Brill Building in New York City, that's what Neil Sedaka and Carole King and Neil Diamond, that's what they did for a living. They would hopefully write a hit. They do one in the one, usually one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and a lot of hits came out of those places. I'm sure where Merrell worked too. But isn't it strange to just try to create a song? I mean, do you just go into work with, I don't know, just an idea at least, or does it just come cold?
Sometimes somebody would say something to you, and it would sound like a title. And Harry and I both had the same gift of when we heard a title, it's like a song would just magically appear in our minds, and then we'd have to sit down at either the piano or a guitar and start working it out and turn on the old reel-to-reel tape recorders. That's what they gave us back then. We had 2 of those, and you'd record a rough demo of it, and then later, you'd get the music written out. And the best songs all seemed to come in 15 or 20 minutes, like just a rush of energy, and you had to get it down, or else if somebody came in and interrupted you or you heard another song, it would magically disappear out of your mind. And that one time when I met John Lennon at Harry Nelson's house, he and I were talking about songwriting, and he called it automatic writing when a song would just come to you.
Yeah. No, I can see that,
Every time I read stuff about the Beatles, that's how they kind of dreamed up ideas.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And then each other would fill in the blanks.
They actually, I love the Beatles, believe me, They also copped a lot of stuff from people, too,
Well, maybe they did.
I Feel Fine, the riff, that's on some blues song somewhere.
Well, I'm sure a lot of stuff like that is on the blues masters somewhere.
Yeah, right. But at least, what they said.
Led Zeppelin.
Stones did a lot. Led Zeppelin ripped lots of people off.
And they're proud of it.
And they go, and it's just, like they like part of it. And whoever the guy was who came up with that riff, he became known again. He became, popular again. So it helped him in that way, But I guess it's something that goes on. So
Nicky Hopkins, the piano player, that played on the Beatles and Stones stuff, he told me once he did a session for Jimmy Page, and Nicky's playing this song that Jimmy supposedly wrote, and Nicky turns around and goes, "Hey, that's a whole lot of lovin'." and Jimmy says, "They'll never notice. They won't know."
The weird thing about
there's a lot of that goes on. Some of it accidentally, and some I think they actually know they're borrowing a few things.
Yeah, I mean,
they would say it's an homage to,
or whatever, but it can't be the whole song. But you can
honoring them.
Take, homage is a good word, right? And it's like
Chuck Berry took umbrage to some of the homage that was taking place.
Right? Yeah. Well, and there was one Lennon had to do. He did an album of like oldies. Right after the Beatles broke up, kind of. I can remember the album cover. He's kind of standing in the old Hamburg place and says "Rock and Roll."
It had "Stand By Me" on it.
Right. But he did that because someone sued him for something. And instead of giving him money, they said, all right, I'll just give you the royalties to this album. And I think he had some stuff already, recorded. So they put out a John Lennon album, and the royalties went to this guy instead of suing him, So it's a creative way to get out of it, I guess,
Very cool.
Yeah.
But did you like your job? Did you like going in and doing it? Did you ever say, oh, man, I got to go write a song?
I was really prolific at that point, and I'd quit playing instrumental surf music, and I had recorded the Fapper Dockley album, which is now, a cult classic worth $1,000 for a sealed vinyl copy.
Nice.
And that album is what the song came off of that's in the new movie coming out, Chappaquiddick.
Okay.
And it blows my mind, Mac, that album, there's 3 songs on that album that have made it back into the spotlight. And I wrote that song, Lila, in 1966.
Wow.
And the album came out in 67. Well, one song, Tomorrow's Girl.
What a matchup!
And what a team, Mike. Metro PCS and the iPhone SE for $0 on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Oh, impressive.
Play with the best. Switch to Metro PCS on an unlimited LTE plan and get a 32-gig iPhone SE for $0. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax. Claim based on talk and text. Not valid for active numbers currently on the T-Mobile network or active on Metro PCS in the past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Was on Dick Clark's American Bandstand in 1967. Flash forward to 2011, and Warner Rhino put out the 4-CD box set Where the Action Is, L.A. Nuggets, 1965 to 68.
Right.
And they picked that song to be in that set, and it was nominated for a Grammy.
Wow.
And we came close to winning, but they found some old outtakes by the Beatles, and it was in the historic album category, and of course the Beatles won. But then, a little later, Thomas Pynchon, I didn't know it, the author, was a fan of my music, and in his book, Inherent Vice, he mentions the Lost Continent of Mu, which I had a band called Mu, and studied that. And then further on in the book, he mentions the band and the album Fapper Dockley, and he talks about the last song on the album, which was called Supermarket. And it's written into the book. Well, now, all of a sudden, they have picked Lila, the opening song from the Fapper Dockley album, to be in this movie, Chappaquiddick. It's coming to theaters everywhere the 1st of April.
All right.
So, that's an album that I kind of didn't like the cover that much, and, I faulted it in certain ways, but it had good music on it, and I remember Roger Ferris, who wrote some songs and produced some stuff for the Carpenters. He was in that building with me and Harry back then. He listened to that album, and he said, Merle, somewhere in the future, these songs are going to be like rare, valuable bottles of wine.
Wow. All
and
right.
I didn't quite get it. I went, Roger, okay.
But he was right. He's right.
Now I get it.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
So...
How did you come up with the name?
I'm hoping they put a soundtrack album out on it.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's where they gave us a little bit of money in front.
Nice.
But where the real money is if they put out a soundtrack album.
Yes. Right.
And the movie does good and the album sells good.
Yep.
And my Hollywood agent said it's full of great 60s music because that incident with Ted Kennedy, happened in 1969.
Right,
so
right at the moon landing.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
How did you come up with the name Fapper Dockley?
Okay. I had the band. I was playing up in the high desert area, and I played with some of the guys that ended up in Captain Beefheart's band, in that band.
Wow, that must have been quite a trip.
And then I moved from the desert back over here to the coast, and I was playing in a nightclub, and I had Dick Lee on drums and Bill Dodd on second guitar, and a guy named Dan Parrish on bass. So I sat down with a pencil and paper, and I went, Merrell and the Exiles sounds too 50-ish, and it was going to be 1967, the Summer of Love.
Yep.
I said, we need something more psychedelic sounding. So I took the first two letters of each person's name, F-A for Fankhauser, P-A-R for Parrish, Dan Parrish, the bass player at the time, and D-O for Bill Dodd, and the drummer's name was Dick Lee. I put it all together, and I said, here's the name of our new band, guys, Fapperdockley. Gee, that's different.
Yeah.
And the record company, when they called me up and said they were going to put all of these tracks out that were from 1964 to 67 on an album, the head of the label said, what are you boys calling the group now? And I said, Fapperdockley. And he goes, what? Paper doily? He said, how in the blazes do you spell that?
The paper doily.
And he didn't quite get it till I had to spell it out exactly for him. But the album came out, sold a few thousand copies, got played on some radio stations, and disappeared. And then I was sitting in my little cabin in 1978 on Maui, and two German record collector guys came down the trail and said, yes, we bought the Fapperdockley album in Germany at a record fair for only $650.
Nice.
And I went,
man,
what?
Wow.
Say that again? I had no idea that album had become, like a cult
favorite.
Classic.
Yeah,
So
right. Wow.
I flew back to my mom's house and asked her if she had any more, because I remember I left some at her house, and she told me to look in the closet, and there was 7 of them, still sealed.
Nice.
I sold all 7 of them for $1,000 each, and one to a guy in Norway that sent me $1,200.
Wow.
And I said, you gave me too much money. And he said, oh, no, I'm so glad to have it. Keep the extra $200.
Well, here's the funny
thing. That's the Fapperdockley story.
Because
and then
I was just going to say real
I
quick.
moved to Hollywood, back down to L.A., in 68, and we formed HMS Bounty, and Fapperdockley disappeared in the background.
You mentioned the guy in Norway who paid you too much for it and didn't mind. I was talking to this friend of mine who I know through biz in Russia. This is in the fall. And we're doing Facebook messaging. So, and I always say to him, what kind of music are you listening to now? So he said, Merrell Fankhauser. He writes back. So I go, wow, that's cool. I says, Merrell and I are friends, right? And the guy says, no, I didn't know that. People in Russia love Merrell's music.
That's amazing.
Any idea? Does it? To me, I listen to the music and it brings you right back to the '60s, baby. You're on the beach. There are chicks in bikinis running by. Everyone's a little high. It's the summer of love. You just go right back to it. But I don't know why. I don't know why. Why is it so long lasting? Let me put it that way. I mean, in your opinion, maybe you already just answered it.
It still seems to be going. I've been doing a radio interview in London every month now for 3 weeks.
Yes.
I've done interviews in Germany, in Spain. That was incredible. The guy would ask me the question in English and then translate it back to the audience in Spanish.
Wow.
Greece, France, Italy, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand. Wow. It's just gone bonkers lately, Mac, with the album coming out and now the movie. But the interesting thing about that Fapperdockley album is that I really didn't realize how good it is till lately when I started re-listening
to
it's like
it.
discovering
It's
your
one
own
that
stuff.
I just kind of passed off as, okay, on to the next project. So I'm very happy. I mean, if it does, I played on Comanche, the song in Pulp Fiction.
Oh, okay.
And they gave me a little bit of money for playing on it, but the writer who wrote it owned the copyright and the publishing, and also played sax on it. That triple platinum soundtrack they put out.
Wow.
He over 2-year period, he made $700,000.
Oh man, that's nice. They say, and he said it before. Merrell said it before. You get your song on a TV show, on a movie, and go out in some kind of a soundtrack, because that's a way to really make money, especially these days. But now, here's the question.
Which song was that on the Pulp Fiction soundtrack? Which
it was Comanche, and it's where they took Bruce Willis and the black guy down in the basement, and that's me on the guitar when I was about 19, going down, 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 down.
Oh, that was great. That's great.
Wow. Oh, I know what I was going to ask. So, was it a 4-track studio in '67, or was it up to 8-track yet, or do you remember?
In the end of 8-track. 68, 8-track came out, but the Fapper Dockley stuff, some of it, believe it or not, was recorded live to 2-track.
Wow.
In Glenn's studio in the Palmdale area of the high desert. And the unique thing, he bought an F-86 Saberjet canopy from Edwards Air Force Base, took it in the corner of the studio, turned it up on end so the canopy was standing up, and framed it in and put a door on it, and you would go in there with your guitar. That was the vocal booth.
Wow.
I have one picture of that, and you'd sing in there, so it isolated you from the drums and the rest of the instruments. And a lot of those tracks on that album were recorded straight to 2-track.
Yikes.
And then later on, he got a 4-track, and then we went down to Gary Paxton's studio that did the Monster Mash and Please Mr. Custer and a bunch of songs.
Yep.
His 4-track studio in Hollywood, and we recorded a bunch of tunes there.
So when you stood in the canopy, were you did they close you in completely in the canopy?
Oh yeah, you were closed in completely, and you'd have to come out for air once in a while.
Wow, man,
and your
that is
guitar
loud.
cord would go out of the enclosure to an amplifier that he had these special boxes that he made that he put amps in, put mics in, and then the drums had some baffles around it. And, it was the early days of recording.
Right.
And Glenn MacArthur had a pretty good ear, but the problem was you'd have to do some of the songs 6, 7 times till he got the sound just right. And you'd go, okay, I think we got one now.
Right.
And James Burton and Ricky Nelson's band recorded in there. Buck Owens.
Wow.
Oh, gosh. Bunch of different people.
Yeah, right.
But it was out in the desert in a mellow place.
Mellow.
And, you didn't
That's the
have
code.
the Hollywood vibe.
Right, yeah. We got 2 minutes left, so I just got to say, well, first, Cobra, you must have a question there somewhere.
When you were doing all this engineering, or did you guys ever put any patents down for the gear that you guys came up with that made these absolutely incredible sounds?
Well, we didn't really come up with the gear. They built echo chambers, which was a room with a curved floor with a mic and a speaker. That was the first echo chamber, and somebody came up with that. I didn't come up with any equipment. The engineers and people did. I'd just bring my Fender guitar in, and they'd put it where they wanted the amp, the Fender amp, and I'd turn it up and start playing.
Well, I normally don't get to the theater, but to hear you in Chappaquiddick, I'm going.
Yeah, we got to go.
Okay, it's Lila, all is the title of the song, and you can look it up on the internet too. And that somebody already made their own video and put it up, but it doesn't have anything to the movie. It just has this girl and this ghostly thing. That's all they'll tell me, is that it's in a moody kind of scene, and I'm really interested to see what kind of spin they put on this movie, because there's always been the whole mystery about why did he wait so long to call anybody.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you don't know the end of the movie then?
Oh no, I haven't seen it yet. Only the agent and the Academy Awards board has seen it, and they said next year it's definitely going to be up for an award. And I told the agent, I'm praying it does even half as good as Pulp Fiction because I own the complete rights to that song, and that could be very, very nice for me.
Man, that's like that's like money from heaven. You know, that's rain. You know, you're making money while you sleep type thing, man. That's
and the new album too, the Tiki Lounge Live, that was all recorded here live, is out on Cleopatra Records, selling well, and we're on 200 radio stations. I just found out from the label this morning. And I've probably done, 38 interviews, Mac, with radio and magazines just in a month and a half now.
We should add that on top of everything else Merrell does, he has a tiki lounge out in his backyard, and they have a party there. And I see the videos every once in a while, and everyone's having a good time. They have hula girls and live music, and people just having a good time.
It's been on TV up and down the coast and in Hawaii for almost 17 years now, and our last guest was Peter Lewis, a founding member of Moby Grape.
That's the
show. Yeah. It's up on YouTube now. It's Merrell Fankhauser's Tiki Lounge number 106.
Wow. Was he the one that displayed the middle finger in the album?
One of them was giving a finger on the album.
You know, I don't know that, but one thing I do know,
great album.
His mother was the actress Loretta Young, which he told us at the end of the filming here, and the crew and I just about fell out of our chairs when he told us that.
Wow. She was a real babe, man, back in the 50s. Oofa. She was like,
and
top 5.
She did a movie with Clark Gable, and they got romantically inclined, and she got pregnant, and their contract said you can't fraternize with your fellow actors and actresses or you lose your contract. So she went out of the country, had the baby, and pretended to adopt it and brought it back to the United States.
Wow.
And Peter never knew that his sister, till about 30 years, wasn't his dad's daughter, but she was Clark Gable's daughter.
Wow.
And that's on the internet.
She had the big ears?
Wow.
Wow, that's crazy, man. This is what I like about Merrell, is he lived the life. You know what I mean? How many? I dream of this life.
He lived the life. He's still living.
I still living the life. I mean,
I have Willie Nelson pulling up here in his big, bus, and all the neighbors looking like, okay, who is this time?
Oh, he's just some tax evader. Nothing to worry about.
I can see the door open, all the smoke come out. So,
well, you heard his song, "Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I Die."
Wow. Okay.
I thought that
was a Keith Richards song.
Yeah. But either one can sing it. Hey, Merrell, listen.
But I on this new album, Mac, I ad-libbed a song, and in the song, it's called California Cosmic Jam. I think I sent you an MP3.
Okay, yep.
He first said that in a book he wrote, and I remembered that. So I'm ad-libbing lyrics here with the band, and I say, this one's for those good old boys on Maui, growing that Maui wowie, so Willie Nelson can stay high. And then I said, Willie said, when I die, roll me up and smoke me.
Wow.
Smoke me. So now he's got a song that he's singing like that.
Maui Wowie. I love that.
Yeah,
that's
Maui
good
Wowie.
I'll tell you what, it couldn't happen to a better guy. This is really kind of a dream come true twice.
He lives to tell about it, too.
And for this to all come back in spades to you is
you're not in rehab, you're not in therapy.
No, it's just having a good time.
Everything's good. Wow.
Yeah, I never smoked cigarettes, never was a big drinker, never fell into the hard drug thing, but when I was on Maui, I smoked Maui Wowie, and I grew some of the best because I knew how to do it organically, and I fertilized it with mangoes and papaya. When I handed one of those to John Lennon, he went, "What is this stuff?" And then the girl sitting next to him was getting mad because he wouldn't pass it over to her. But it had this taste like juicy fruit chewing gum. It wasn't harsh, no chemicals. And I quit doing that many, many years ago, but it was fun.
Did you take up surfing?
Oh, yeah. I started surfing because I live right here by the ocean on the Central Coast near Pismo Beach. I started surfing when I was about 16.
Can we get the recipe to that Maui Wowie when we're off here, please? You never know. Hey,
well,
it's legal in Massachusetts
now. You need the
now.
special indica seeds that come from India,
okay.
and then you have to grow it a certain way. And, of course,
we know people.
The Maui climate helps.
That might be a problem up here in New England. But,
yeah.
Never say never. Well, listen, like I said, it couldn't happen to a better guy. You're a great guy. We've known each other now for a long time. I really, congratulations on your success. We got to give you a round of applause here.
Thank you, guys. Thank
really
you all.
excellent.
And Mac, I'll keep you updated on what's happening and play some of those MP3s. I'm sure you have the one of Lila. It's kind of a psychedelic folk.
Yeah, I've heard it. I think I actually heard it on YouTube, to tell you the truth. But I will definitely look for them. They're in my in file. And listen, call us sometime in April. We'll talk and we'll see, what's going on with the movie and the reaction and stuff. Okay?
Yeah, because the movie hits theaters April 6th.
Okay, it's going to be big up here, because the Kennedys are still, like minor gods here to some people.
Exactly. That's why I like talking to you, because you're in the area.
Well, let's see what happens. And once again, congratulations, and we'll talk soon, my friend, okay?
All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, Merrell Fankhauser.
See you later, Merrell.
Wow.
Bye-bye.
Congratulations.
Man, I love that guy.
Okay,
he has.
We could have him on for an hour.
He's done it. You know what I mean? He's done it. So I love that. So why don't we take a break?
All right. Aloha.
All right.
Aloha.
There he goes. Wow.
There he goes.
Man, I want to say to him, he's married. He's a married guy, so I don't want to bring up the obvious question, which is, what was it like during the summer of love in California? You're a rock musician. You're going to be getting some, what's the word I'm thinking of? Stimulation. Okay. I've heard the albums. I've heard the songs.
What a matchup!
And what a team, Mike. Metro PCS and the iPhone SE for $0 on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Oh, impressive.
Play with the best. Switch to Metro PCS on an unlimited LTE plan and get a 32-gig iPhone SE for $0. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax. Claim based on talk and text. Not valid for active numbers currently on the T-Mobile network or active on Metro PCS in the past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
And it's like I say, you close your eyes and you're just right back there, okay? But
I wanted to hang out with the Jefferson airplane. That was my thing.
It's kind of like how should I say? It just captures the moment.
Yeah,
the thematic, I guess, is what the word is.
Well, when you hear the song, you think of that scene in the movie all the time.
Yeah, well, that's
time and place.
That's what's going to happen.
Even though the song is old,
right?
But can you imagine actually going to work and having to come up with 2 songs a day?
Yeah.
You got one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and you got to sit down and come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get where that just falls out of the sky.
There's a movie out there called like the Beat of My Heart or something like that, and there's a woman in it too. She's kind of unusual looking. I forget her name, but it's about the Adventures of the Brill Building, which is still there. The building is still there, but they're not in there. And that's what it was. They were hit factories. They were hit factories. Yeah. And all these guys, that's where Barry Manilow started, and Neil Sedaka, Joni Mitchell, Carole King. And you go in and you write a song in the morning, take lunch.
Coffee break.
Write another song.
What pressure, though?
It's pressure. But you see, the thing is that the building itself would send up maybe 40 songs a day, okay? Every day, right? And they were just, there's no great deep thought into them, but, there's always the catch. Right. There's always something to catch you. And if one hit single came out of that place in a month, boom, man, everyone gets the and everything, So it was like, you're going to
when they sent out the song, they send it out with some kind of treatment, or
you do a band. Yeah, you have a band come in, just like the Wrecking Crew, who can do this stuff like that.
Sure.
Not a lot of instrumentation, because you're just sending it to a producer who said, well, this would be good for Barbra Streisand, this would be good for the Four Tops, and that's how they did it. And so what happened is you would get the hit record, and then there'd be a lot of money would come in. Up on the Roof is a good example of that song, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of money comes in. So then back then what they do is the single would come out, then you got to do an album really quick. Well, they would take, all these songs that are kind of lying around because they're filler, record them, boom, and the album's out like 2 weeks later. Don Kirshner, started there. It's a hit factory. That's when the Beatles came along. they actually wrote their own songs, and that's what blew everyone's mind, because then they said, oh man, we're going to be out of business, because everyone's going to start writing their own songs. Right. But they didn't. It didn't kill them. They're still in business, and that's how they make songs today, except they make them with computer bits from 25 different people, and they put them in, and everything kind of sucks, but
it does suck. But the pressure was on in some fashion, but it seemed like some of them just rolled with it.
They loved it, yeah. And
Lennon and McCartney just kind of rolled with it.
Yeah,
It
but they always
second nature.
It always had to be catchy. You know what I mean? That's the thing, is that you got to have like a hook in it, and and it's got to be catchy. And the thing about the Beatles to me is we're still. Everything went faster than what came before. The Beatles really seemed to be up tempo a lot,
They put out an album, 2 albums a year for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
And some other stuff that didn't make it into an album.
Well, they would go. There was some McCartney thing on the other night, and they said the guy came to him and said, after they did Hard Day's Night, after they did the filming, they had recorded the album, okay? And Brian Epstein came to him and he said, "You have a week off." And they went, "Yes." They said, you got to write an album full of songs, but you get the week off." And they're going, "Well, okay, we still like it, because they just knew how to do it. They would bounce it." And he also said they never did not complete a song. He and Lennon wrote, I think, 450 songs, 170 were Beatles songs. But they always finished it, If it was good or bad or whatever, just always finish it. And
sometimes they were surprised at how many songs they had to deliver. Like they'd do in the movie Help, and said, "Wait a minute, you got 4 or 5 more songs you got to do."
Yeah.
Same with Yellow Submarine.
Can you get back to us on Monday? You know what I mean? And they would do it. I mean, when they came to Hard Day's Night, they basically went to John Lennon and said, "We need like 6 songs here." Okay, most of the songs in that album he wrote, and they didn't have a name for the album. They were going to call it something else. And then this Ringoism comes up, Hard Day's Night, right? And
8 Arms to Hold You, I think.
Oh, that was Help. That was Help, right? But what was?
No, I thought Hard Day's Night was 8 Arms to Hold.
No, because that was Help has the big the Bahama thing with the 8-armed goddess.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Right.
So they had no title. So then Ringo comes up with this thing. They say to Lennon, "This is the producer of the movie," and Epstein and George. They say, "You got to go home and write a song now, Hard Day's Night." And he's going, "What?" He says, "I've never even heard the term before." And he does, and he comes back. It's a classic song. They came back and they did it that next morning, and they're 20 years old. It's a crazy
incredible.
Story. Yeah, it really is. Anyway, hey, listen, time for an ad here. Okay, thank you to Merrell Fankhauser. Really, always interesting to talk to him, and he's a UFO researcher too. And we didn't even really get into it. After the Maui Wowie, baby, I wasn't going to ask about UFOs. You know what I mean? So, why don't we do this? Let's take a commercial break now. Hey, you're listening to Mack Maloney. You still there, Coco?
I am.
Okay. It sounds
I've been looking some stuff up online about Lila.
Okay, all right. I thought you had fallen asleep. But listen, why don't we take an ad, and then we'll be right back after this. Hey, welcome back to Mack Maloney's Military X-Files show here on the Distant Thunder Radio Network. This is Mack Maloney. I'll tell you, what a show we're having tonight. It's so good that we've said so many times during the broadcast, I don't think this is ever going to make it on the air. Anyway.
It's just too cool.
Juan-Juan is here, as you can
That's
hear.
one way of looking at it.
The Coco is here. Commander
Good evening, Paul.
Al Renaldo, famous UFO mechanic, is here.
He's even here when he's not here.
Right.
Yeah, really.
That's what's good about him. And on the phone with us, the man on the way up, okay? Switchblade Steve Ward from Battle Creek, Michigan, but I got a feeling it's going to be from Beverly Hills, California.
That's right.
Because we were on just a week ago.
He's going to be hard to get pretty soon.
Right. And he's had like 4 more speaking engagements, booked just in the week. Okay, so what's the magic? You get the magic touch there, Switchy.
I don't really know how to explain it, but something that's very cool that happened was I'm actually a published author now. I'm in a book called Weird Winged Wonders, The Twilight World of Cryptid Creatures. It's one of Tim Beckley's books where he puts together with several different authors.
Okay.
And so I'm in really good company. I'm in with Brad Steiger.
Yes.
Alan Greenfield.
Right.
Lon Strickler.
Okay.
Paul Eno. Did I say Paul Eno?
Paul, yep.
And Albert Rosales, among others.
Yeah.
And my name's even on the cover.
And what did you write? You wrote one of the sections?
Well, it takes a little bit of explanation. Brent Raines, who does Alternate Perceptions magazine, online magazine.
Yes.
I met him at the Mothman Festival.
Okay.
He had me do an interview, but it was he wrote a couple questions, and so he just let me go wild. I wrote it was like a 5-part answer to all these questions in his magazine, and it was a lot of fun. He was very encouraging, just to have me keep going.
Right.
Well, Tim Beckley took the part of that out that pertains to the Mothman. And, of course, it's about winged creatures, so the Mothman and the Mothman Festival and so forth.
Sure.
So it was a nice surprise. So I actually can finally say, yeah, I've got a book.
Wow, yeah, gee.
Fantastic.
It is exciting.
It's not only mine, but, it's like I say, I'm
Steve,
very good company.
I'm just happy to find out, Steve, that you're not as introverted in your writing as you are when you're on the show with us. That's great that you have an outlet that you can really let your inner personality come out, because you just don't show that kind of enthusiasm when you're on the show with us.
Oh.
The
way the show is going, I understand that I'm supposed to come in and save the show tonight.
No, believe me, that ship sailed.
Goodness gracious.
That ship sailed about...
Maybe I'm ready for
my close-up.
You are right.
It went off the rails a while ago.
Yeah.
Now, I was reading between the lines, and it could be there's just empty space there, and I read something into it. I don't know.
No, your instincts are right on. So I'm guessing. So how many?
You're either the Titanic or the iceberg. You pick which you are tonight.
Which
buddy.
one? Yeah, right. Are you the hitter or the hittee? So you are one of how many writers in this compilation?
Well, let's see. There's I've got it right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About 10.
Okay, so I'm guessing
8 or 10. Yeah.
I'm guessing they gave you what, about $25,000, $30,000 for this?
I think I get some copies at a discounted price.
Okay, yeah, but you are a published author, so
that's all right. There you go. I have
there's a lot
no
of joy
complaints.
in that, and you can really pick up chicks, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's really
know.
handy.
I'll give you a report.
Thank you. That'll be Switch.
I will give you a report on that when that.
All right, that'll be Switch After Dark. Okay, or
Well,
sad.
it's Valentine's Day, so this ought to come in handy for
SAD sad.
Okay, I've got a great report tonight.
Okay, I just got to do one joke before we do it. Okay.
All right.
And Jimmy Kimmel wants, not that I ever watch him or anything, and we'll lose half our audience with this joke.
You just came across it on YouTube or something.
Yeah, or something, and he said, well, today's Valentine's Day, or to all Star Trek fans, February 14th.
it wasn't bad.
They don't get laid a lot.
Oh, got it. All right.
Wow. If I have to explain it to you two guys.
I got one right over.
Well, obviously,
how bad is my material?
Saturday Night Live episode where Shatner was on there and he plays. He's aggravated. He's at the UFO convention or the Star Trek convention, and he just loses it when he's on stage. You have to YouTube it. It's absolutely great. He looks at one guy. You over there dressed as the Vulcan, Spock. Have you ever kissed a girl?
Spock.
And
yes.
It's just absolutely classic.
I know someone who.
I got it.
Oh, you got a William Shatner story?
No, actually,
Okay.
Valentine's Day tomorrow. I heard today is National Mistress Day.
Really? Yeah. Well, you have to give two gifts.
Well, you got to take care of them both.
Wow.
So,
okay.
You don't want to leave one out in the cold,
That's coming from the Sicilian side of you, I'm guessing,
mine
right? Don't they
is,
call them gumas?
Mine's the same woman in both
Oh,
cases.
yeah, mine too.
Oh, listen to this.
Wow.
Listen.
Wow.
Pandering to the audience.
Same woman.
No, just pandering to my wife.
Yeah, mine too. Thank you,
Very good.
JJ. Okay. Both of you from the boot, right? Are you saying you're Italian this week? You change it every
I'm
week.
always
You're
Italian.
JJ.
Occasionally I'm Irish, but
Oh, wow. He
I
just
did
gave me the
my
accent. Okay.
ancestry DNA,
Oh, you did? They sell the DNA to other people after they do that. They do.
I just thought of that.
Yep. Okay.
When they need to harvest organs, they know where to go.
They know where to go. Well, they might pass on him, but nothing that there's anything wrong with you, JJ. He's coming right across the board.
I'll bring in the report and show you how.
Okay, so you're half Italian and half Filipino, correct?
There's more than that going
on. To more halves.
I'll bring in the report.
We're cutting into Switch's time.
Hey,
here.
Steve,
Wow.
what's your nationality, and what do you have for us tonight?
Yeah.
Well, Mack and I are published authors.
Yeah, see. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm ready with this report.
Okay,
we got to get going, man.
Right.
We got it. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Let's go.
Okay. We're in the Sierra Nevadas. Focus it a little closer to the Tahoe National Forest, and then right down to Cisco Grove. It's September 1964. Classic UFO abduction case, or attempted abduction. We got a bow hunter named Donald Shrum. He faced a nearly 12-hour ordeal. He's in the dark. He's completely alone. And according to these great researchers, Noe Torres, and Ruben Uriarte. They wrote a book called Aliens in the Forest that chronicled this, actually a classic case that was first revealed by Jim and Cora Lorenzen in one of their old books.
Okay. Yep.
And they said that this Donald Trump ended up having his own personal War of the Worlds. Okay, now, I want to flash forward 3 weeks. Okay, and we'll get to the ordeal in just a second.
Okay.
Donald Trump and his wife are being interviewed by
Sorry. Sorry, Switchy. Go ahead, please.
That's okay. It's your show. I'm just a published author. Okay.
Wow. Holy cow.
Elitist
status. Yeah, please.
Okay. They're in a house. They're off the McClelland Air Force Base in a house barely furnished. They're being. It reminds me of that house in the Maury Island incident. With Fred Chrisman.
Oh right, yeah, sure.
Okay, but they're at a table, at the kitchen table. That's about all there is in there. And this Captain McLeod and Sergeant Major Barnes are interviewing them. Okay. Now the McClellan base is it's the Logistics Command headquarters, and it's connected to Wright-Patterson.
Oh right, okay.
Which Wright-Patterson steeped in UFO lore and history, and where Project Sign originated.
Okay, right.
Now they hadn't sought any publicity. It was due to several circumstances where they got a hold of a retired astronomer. He heard the story. He thought he was credible, and he connected the Air Force. So at this point, they still have this thing quiet. Now, here's the story. Oh, and also at this point, this guy is actually afraid that he still might have radiation poisoning.
Okay.
Okay. So we're back to the story. In September, the 3 bow hunters from Sacramento. This is actually September 4th, 1964. Vincent Alvarez and Tim Trueblood are the other 2 bow hunters. They're from Aerojet General Corporation. They made the Titan rocket engines, the Gemini Voyager probes, and so forth.
Yep.
Now, these guys are not engineers. Shrum he's a painter and a welder.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So they're out there hunting. They get separated. One of them, Shrum, goes down a ridge, but it's got a dead end. He has to come back. It's getting dark, so he's going to find a nice, convenient tree to spend the night. Since the camp is maybe a mile and a half back, he's not going to risk it in the dark.
Okay.
Finds a nice 25-foot to 30-foot tree.
Okay.
It's about 9 p.m. He sees a light, kind of a meandering light. He knows it's not an airplane, but he thinks, a helicopter's come to rescue me. So he makes a mistake. He gets down from the tree, builds 3 signal fires about 10 feet apiece.
Okay.
As this light gets closer, it's attached to something really big because it's blocking out stars behind it. And then he can see that he can't get a really good bead of the size, but there's like these 3 giant windows or openings on the side, maybe 30 feet across. A disc object, just like object, comes out of one of them and lands in the distance. Okay. Now, he climbs back up in the tree, and he's in camo. He thinks, he's going to be okay.
Yep.
Nothing's going to see him. So then he hears this noise through the brush, and he sees that these 2 little figures show up. They're about 5 feet tall. They're kind of stocky. He doesn't know if they're wearing a hood or a helmet.
Okay.
But he's got these big round black eyes, which again, he doesn't know if they're eyes or goggles. But up to 2 years afterwards, he would wake up in a cold sweat at night and scream about the eyes. So he's still as anything up in the tree, not moving around. But these little guys come up to the base of the tree and stare right up at him.
Okay, so when he saw this light, this meandering light attached to something that was blocking out the stars, he thought, "Wow, this is a UFO." He thought, right?
Well, once he saw that it was just a light attached to something else, he knew it wasn't a helicopter. So, that's what he thought. It's a flying saucer because he'd read about them in the newspapers.
So then there's these 2 little weird guys down the bottom looking up at him, and he's kind of like caught in the tree by these 2 characters.
And then it gets worse.
Okay, go ahead.
Because from another direction, he hears another noise, and this thing that he calls it a robot. It looks similar. It's kind of stocky. You wonder if one of these guys were in it. But first he sees this 2 red-orange eyes coming through the brush, and then it comes up to where they are. And then this thing has got kind of like a big jaw-like thing. It opens, a cloud of smoke or vapor comes up, and when it reaches him, he can't breathe. All the oxygen's gone, and he passes out.
Okay.
The only thing that saves him
That's
is
one explanation. Go ahead, please.
The only thing that saves him from falling from the tree is his bow, which it's a 60-pound recurve bow with a 28-inch pull.
Cobra has one of those. Yeah.
Okay.
28-inch pull there, Cobra. Is that your bow?
No, actually, mine's a 28-pound pole, but that's different.
All right. Okay.
So he's lucky because the way he falls, the bow is caught by the branches, and because when he's out for just briefly, it catches him and he doesn't fall to the ground.
Wow, lucky
When
him.
he wakes up, he's got the dry heaves.
Oh, okay.
And this keeps going. And then it gets really weird.
Seems
now,
like this happened to me before. You know, there was some vapor involved.
He told you.
Climbed the tree, almost fell off. Dry heaves the next day. It's a little bit of familiarity with this.
Like a night at the restaurant.
I told you guys I was going to save the show. Okay, now.
Okay, you have 7 minutes.
Okay. 7 minutes.
One
okay.
of these guys had a
Iceberg
chainsaw.
Captain, Iceberg up to Fort Mount.
Oh, that's good. We need ice.
The thing is, this guy came forward a few years ago, and these guys interviewed him. He's always been considered truthful, and he also went under regressive hypnosis. Didn't reveal very much more, just a few more details, because he was really awake through the whole thing.
Right.
Now, these creatures are making kind of like a hooting noise. You know, the owls are not what they seem, and there's a response from the mothership. And it seems that every time this communication or whatever it is goes back and forth, they try a new ploy. They one of the things they do when he climbs up the tree further and lashes himself with his belt, so that if he passes out again, he's not going to hit the bottom.
Okay.
And then he wakes up and he sees these little creeps are climbing up the tree at him.
Nice. Okay.
So while he's got the dry heave, he's trying to recover, and so he shakes the tree, and these creeps, they go back down.
Right.
He also kept throwing fire at them. He lit a book of matches.
Okay.
Because the first thing this robot thing did was to put out the fires there. It just kind of used its arm to brush them away.
Wow.
So he's doing everything. He's lit his hat.
Smokey
he's
the
ripping up
robot.
his clothes. He's throwing bits of lit clothing down at them, and every time they do, they back away.
Switch. He has a bow and arrow. Why isn't he shooting them with the bow and arrow?
We're getting to that.
Okay, Cliff.
He
right,
doesn't want to hit the creatures because he's afraid of retaliation, but he has no problem hitting this robot thing.
Okay, right.
And he hits it directly in the chest.
Okay.
And then it kind of makes a spark. It backs up several feet. Then he's got 2 more arrows. He hits it.
What a matchup!
And what a team, Mike. Metro PCS and the iPhone SE for $0 on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Oh, impressive.
Play with the best. Switch to Metro PCS on an unlimited LTE plan and get a 32-gig iPhone SE for $0. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax. Claim based on talk and text. Not valid for active numbers currently on the T-Mobile network or active on Metro PCS in the past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Again and again.
Mm-hmm.
And all these things are doing is just kind of putting them off for a while. And then another robot shows up, or whatever it is. They come together. There's sort of like a communication thing going on with flashes of light.
Yes.
And then there's a big blast, and this vapor comes up, and he's out. The next thing he knows, everybody's gone. All these things are gone, and it's like the dawn is just starting to break a little bit, and he's hanging by his belt. So so one of the other guys, they find him. Vincent Alvarez comes and finds him in the morning. He's only got his T-shirt on, his slacks. It's freezing weather, and this guy has been through one hell of an ordeal. Okay. So now we're back to the present. We're back to the Air Force guys, which are treating them like crap, unfortunately. And so they're trying to come up with explanations. The first thing they say is, one of them says, "You might have encountered some Japanese people."
Oh, see, that's not
and they
right.
just look at each other.
Okay.
Maybe there were some kids playing a prank. Okay. Oh, maybe it was a military op. Now, Mrs. Shrum, her father was a retired, Albert Legg was a retired Air Force guy.
Okay.
And he'd already checked to see if there had been any ops going on at the time, and there wasn't.
Okay.
Now the reason he thought he might have some kind of radiation sickness was he had this terrible pain in his chest, and he was sick. It just turned out that when he kept shaking the tree for dear life, that caused the bruising in his chest. He was just very sick. But for a couple of weeks, they were afraid because they had no resources to actually get checked for radiation sickness.
Right.
It was his wife, Mrs. Shrum, they got a hold of Donald Kehoe.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Kehoe had Paul Cerny, a NICAP guy, from those that interview him. He's the guy that took the original story, keeping their name secret.
Right.
And like I say, it was only a few years ago the authors of the book Aliens in the Forest finally got them to come forward and tell the whole story.
Right.
But this didn't end here, because when he'd be out camping or whatever, he and his buddies never had any fear of the woods, but after this they did, because one of the guys, Vincent Alvarez, actually did see the craft from a distance, so they knew he'd seen something.
Right.
But he would get this. Donald Shrum would get this kind of a buzzing in his head when they'd be out camping or whatever, and he knew they were close. It happened one time on the camping trip. They're out in an area called Westwood in California.
Okay.
And he gets, he hears this buzzing, and his wife and his friends can see him turn around and just look in the distance at this ridge, and sure enough, there's this light that comes by over the ridge, and then shortly thereafter, a smaller one.
Let me just I'm going to throw this question to Al Renaldo, okay, because you look so interested over there. If you went out, you to me would be someone, you and Cobra, not so much JJ. I could see you and Cobra going out bow hunting overnight in the woods, okay?
All right.
So let's say that happened to you, and you went up a tree and you had to lash yourself to the tree. Little people, robots, UFOs, and everything. Would you ever go back out in the woods again?
Not in your life.
No. Would you?
No.
Cobra?
It probably.
Oh, jeez. Okay. So,
well, I'd at least go more heavily armed.
Yeah, or something. So they went back. They love bow hunting so much they went back out.
I'd be afraid these guys would have chainsaws.
Or something. Chainsaws would be great if you had someone up a tree. Very good one.
Right.
Anyways,
none of this vapor stuff. A chainsaw.
Wow. I'm just going to say one thing about this story that I love, okay? And I've read a lot of those old stories. I love those old 50s UFO books. They were just great. Donald Kehoe, probably one of the best investigators ever, former Marine colonel or major, quit his job with the military and wrote some really good books, had a lot of really good resources and everything, and I don't think you're going to see someone like him again. Anyway, I've never heard a robot. The very few mention robots. It's usually, creatures from outer space, So don't you think it's weird there, Switchy, that there are robots involved?
It's very rare. There's a couple. I think there was one in Brooksville, Florida, but that particular account was kind of dubious. The thing is that everybody that interviewed this guy from past to present is convinced that he believes this, that he had a real experience.
Right.
But see, my thing is, we've talked about all kinds of abductions and attempted abductions on this show.
Right.
This guy's up in the tree and the robot releases the gas.
Yeah.
And they're trying to gas him so he'll fall down, and they can, like they're hunters or something.
Yeah, right.
We've heard stories of people being floated through walls.
Yeah,
Those really bizarre ones in Brazil where the hooks or whatever come down and grab you, or you're simply just levitated.
Right.
What were these retro aliens that hadn't gotten the new means of abducting people?
Yeah, isn't that funny? You always think that
old school.
Yeah, they're old school aliens. Very good.
We got to undo the belt.
1950s aliens, not modern day.
Right.
Aliens.
You see, that's what's strange about it. It seems like the aliens in the shape, particularly of UFOs, change as things get more modern. You know what I mean? People back then used to look. They'd see a flying saucer, literally look like a tea saucer turned upside down. Right. Now they see triangles and really kind of cool stuff. It kind of matches the time we live in a way.
That is important, because there are changes over the last several decades. A lot of changes in the way the crafts look, the creatures look, and the techniques are.
Right.
We don't even know for sure that these are grays. They look kind of like grays, but not exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Something a little bit different.
Isn't there a case down in Mississippi where the aliens had lobster hands?
Yeah, the Pascagoula.
Okay.
Let's see, was it Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, 1973, October. That was during the huge wave through the U.S. when all those landings occurred.
Okay.
And, but there was hardly anything. I don't think there were any grays reported.
Right.
David Webb wrote a book called 1973, Year of the Humanoids, where he covers Pascagoula and all those.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's... it could be that these they call these things the robots or androids or whatever because they weren't really human. And supposedly during one of the regressive hypnosis sessions, Charles Hickson did see some other human-looking people on there, implying that the Pascagoula aliens with the pincher-like hands were maybe androids or something. I don't know. I mean, the whole experience could be illusory. We don't know.
A big Navy base down in Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a shipyard.
Yeah, I remember my uncle. He was on assignment down there for electric boat people, and he told me, he says, "I know I'm going to heaven because I've been to hell. I was in Pascagoula." Oh, wow. Anyway, so so that's an interesting story, Switch, because like you say, they're like retro aliens. I mean, what's going on? I mean, if let's say this really happened. As he said, it's not aliens with, big triangles, people being floated here and there. It's like, they're not really well equipped.
They're clueless.
Clueless.
They're going to Home Depot for a ladder so we can climb up and get the guy.
Well, what about a butterfly net?
Or a net. Net would work. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, but he had the belt on. He was lashed to the tree.
I mean, imagine what the aliens thought. He goes, wait a minute, this guy's up in the tree. He's shooting arrows at us. So crying out loud. Release the gas. Okay, that knocked him out. Oh, he can't come down. Go ahead, Hal. You look like you know what you're talking about.
Well, if you take your belt and you loosen it, how much extra
how
room
much
do you have?
belt do you have, or what's the diameter?
You could wrap it around a tree and still have it wrapped around you.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. Right. How about this? The guy went out drinking, and he had to come up with something to explain all the marks on his body and why he didn't have his pants and stuff. So, this is the best he could come up with. Yeah, they were robots, and they were, Japanese-looking aliens or something. Who knows? Let's go back out hunting again next weekend. What were they hunting? Any idea what they were shooting?
Deer. They're bow hunting deer.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
So they didn't have any firearms because you can't have them, or at least you couldn't then when you were bow hunting.
Okay.
Now, there were a couple of arrows they recaptured. He had one of the arrows that he gave the Air Force guys, and they said, we're going to test this because there were some metallic fragments or spots on it or something.
Okay.
And, of course, they never got it back. When he went back to the site, because he was very cooperative with the Air Force, they came, he told me exactly where it was. They came there and cleaned the whole thing out, but they missed one thing. There was another arrow that went into the brush. So they turned that over to NICAP, but they didn't pack it properly, and they never got any good results from it.
Okay. Wow. Man, that's crazy. That's a crazy story there.
It is a crazy story. We only had a little tidbits of it back from the Lorenzens UFO occupants or something like that back in the 60s.
Right.
One of my favorite books as a kid.
Yeah.
And so finally they came out with the full story, and it's a hell of a story.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, thank you very much for joining us and for updating us on your career on the rise. You are the man on the way up.
Can we get your autograph the next time you're in town?
How about that?
Absolutely. I'm gonna practice it this week.
Okay.
So you got to have a cool looking autograph.
You got to make it short and street, just like that. Make it look like you're always in a hurry.
Make it like a symbol.
Yeah, a symbol would be great. Yeah, a symbol of like a cornflake or a piece of shredded wheat would be actually interesting.
And then I could be the symbol that was formerly a paranormal investigator.
Yes, exactly.
Formerly known as Switch.
That rolls off the tongue.
Possibly a gray.
Yeah. Hey, Switchy, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it, as always. And guess what? It's the end of the show, guys.
No way.
Yeah. We've had so much fun here. This might go straight to Mac After Dark. We're not sure.
I've had the
have to listen to it. But if it ever makes the real radio, thanks for joining us. I want to thank Clubb for joining us, okay, and going through all our mail and everything. Our security director, Merrell Fankhauser, still living the life of a rock star out there in California.
Amazing.
Well, yeah, one of his songs is going to be in a movie coming out April 6th called Chappaquiddick. His song Lila is, I think at the beginning of the movie.
It's going to be playing on the radio as the car goes into the...
Or something, yeah. Thank you, Juan-Juan, for that image.
Wow. I can see it.
Yikes. It's all like a true republic. And also thanks to Kimberly Pendarvis, who has a really cool-sounding book out, 74 Tears on File, about an apocalyptic end of the world, biblical end of the world. Sounds really good. Thanks for joining us.
Well, 96 Tears was taken, so...
There you go. By the question mark and...
The Mysterians.
Right. One, always right there. Al Renaldo, UFO... it's thanks to Switch. Al Renaldo, UFO mechanic. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, anytime.
Okay, really appreciate it. And Coco, thank you once again.
As always, my privilege, gentlemen.
Okay.
Thank you.
And once again, tip of the hat there to JJ.
Hey,
Juan-Juan.
it's a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us. So until next week, hopefully when you hear us again, until next week, be safe.
If you're not arrested.
Oh, if you're not arrested. Okay. Mack Maloney for the Passe.
The Passe.
Saying be safe, be happy, and
bye-bye.
What a matchup!
And what a team, Mike. Metro PCS and the iPhone SE for $0 on a network that covers 99% of people in the U.S. Oh, impressive.
Play with the best. Switch to Metro PCS on an unlimited LTE plan and get a 32-gig iPhone SE for $0. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax. Claim based on talk and text. Not valid for active numbers currently on the T-Mobile network or active on Metro PCS in the past 90 days. See store for details.